Hey Bleeders, we want to give a quick shout out to Glad Rags, who sell eco-conscious menstrual cups and reusable cloth pads. If you've been thinking about making the switch, check out their products at gladrags.com and use the coupon code VICIOUS for $5 off products. That's VICIOUS. Don't feel bad if you've been spelling it wrong.
It may be primal, it may be vital, but it makes you homicidal. It's a vicious, it's a vicious, it's a vicious cycle.
Hey, Bleeders. Welcome to Vicious Cycle, the podcast about periods and the people who get them. I'm your co-host, Meg H.
I'm Meg T.
I'm Kate.
And welcome. We're so happy that you're here.
Can we start calling them blisteners?
Hey, listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Meg Hayes said that at a live show we had. She said, you guys are our blisteners. And I was like, that's so good.
My sister Shannon actually came up with the term because she was listening to our episode.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shan.
Whether
Thanks,
or not
Shan.
you're actually bleeding at the moment,
Yeah.
you're a blistener.
You're all
You're a
listeners to
listener.
us.
I love it.
Also, that live show was so fun, guys.
Yeah.
So much fun.
We had such a fun time at sleepover with Sam and Molly.
We sang our songs. Got a pretty good response.
Someone came up to me and said afterwards, because we sang 3 parody songs, one of which you listeners haven't heard yet, unless you were at the show, in which case, thanks. But we had one guy come up to us afterwards and say, your guys' parody songs are actually funny. They actually make sense. And I was like, thank you.
Was this a man?
It was a man.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was. But
Oh,
thank
okay.
you, listener,
Thank you, listener.
for telling us what I always want to hear is that parody songs make sense.
Wow. Sorry, you guys. Just for the record, I'm exhausted because I just finished 6 shows that stole my voice from me. 6 sketch comedy shows that were super fun, but I apologize if my brain isn't here.
And your voice sounds very,
Thank you.
who's a low? Oh, Kathleen
feel-
Turner.
I feel like I'm like the radio DJ on 94.7 The Wave. Like, hello, lovers. Welcome.
So this episode, we're going to talk about, finish up our tampon series and talk about the taboos of tampons. We're so excited. We have tons of phone calls.
Yeah.
Tons equaling 4 phone calls
So
to get
many.
through. So thanks for everyone who called in, and we're going to talk about how we grew up maybe with the idea of tampons and what our moms told us. But first, let's check in about periods.
Okay. I will go first in that I have no updates to report. I'm 2 days away from bleeding.
All right.
I think the last episode I said that I like had a heavier flow last time, which made me happy, which is a weird thing to say. Thank you. Thanks to this podcast. I'm happy when my periods are bloodier. And I also emailed these 2 ladies and said, I wish I had my period more often so that we just to help with production.
I wish periods were more than monthly because we are recording every week.
It's a pain in my ass.
It's like when I wanted cramps in my thighs just to be like,
Yes. Just to report on it.
yeah.
Yes, I recently had a period. It was better than the others have been. It wasn't because I've had a couple periods that were like, oh, here's like 7 light days in a row, and then I'm gonna punch you with a heavy day. So this one was only 4 days long. Definitely had some gnarly cramps. Kind of knocked me out. I had to like lay down for the first time in a long time. Where usually I can like pop Advil and like try and distract myself, but this time I was like, I'm laying down and you can't talk to me, Kevin.
sucks.
My husband and I both work from home, so it's an HR nightmare.
Gatsby was your HR rep. but
Yes,
he
yeah,
died.
he died. So, and we can't find a good replacement. There's really hard to find good help these days. So yeah, but it was a good period. It's a pretty good period.
Sweet.
Oh, and I got to try some new organic tampons that Meg Hayes lent me.
Oh, yes. Yes, Meg and I had a lady date, and I brought a fistful of tampons.
Fistful of Tampons is the next title of our podcast. The
Our next
spin-off.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for that because I was running low and I had more on the way, but I didn't want to buy a new box.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
I hear
Well,
ya.
we will do an episode on like the alternatives to tampons.
Yeah.
we're gonna
And-
try some
yeah.
shit out.
I'm still on fistful of tampons. That's amazing. So I had a period that was the lead up was so gnarly. First of all, it was really late. It was a couple days late, which is weird because I told you 28-day cycle. So I was at like 31 days, and I was like, okay, what's happening? Then I started getting a really bad cramp while I was for work. I was on a shoot in Iowa, or as I like to now call, Wyowa. Sorry to all our Iowa listeners out there. Actually, I really enjoyed Iowa, but I was there twice in the last month, and I'm like, kill me. Only because I'm like, why don't I do stories in Hawaii or like New York City? So we went to Wyowa, and I was with just my shooter, Sean, who, like, God bless him, Sean. Like, if you're listening, which you shouldn't be. I mean, maybe you are because you're a good dude, but like, thank you for just like staying with me because I was so vocal about my period. We were driving 2 hours, and he knows I have this podcast, so I was very vocal about my period in the podcast. So I was just like, I'm driving and I'm getting the worst cramps.
Oh God!
And I'm like, oh, Sean, I think I'm getting my period. Oh, Sean, oh, it's coming. So we pulled over like 3 times for me to check, and I still was wiping, and there was nothing. So Meg Hayes, I really wanted to put a tampon in preemptively. Now I get it.
You get it.
I get it now, but then
because you don't want to fucking bleed and then be like, fuck.
Especially in work, and we were doing interviews. I had to interview a state senator, so like
and you're
I was
on
like,
vacation. You only have so many pairs of underwear. Yes.
No. So then finally we pull over like the 3rd time, and I get it, and I didn't say anything. I was just like, I just kind of like walked back casually to the car with a huge bag of cheddar jalapeno Cheetos, and I was just like, you're driving. And he was like, okay, it's fine. And I said nothing for the next like hour drive.
I like this American future that you're painting for me right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're driving because I'm having fucking cramp.
And I just like scarfed the bag of Cheetos.
Eat these.
I love that.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So thanks, Sean, for dealing with that. You're a trooper. Before we get into tampon taboos, I just wanted to share with you guys, I found an article as I was just like doing various research from 1980 about TSS.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think I was Googling, because there's this website called newspapers.com. We have an account at work, and you can look at basically any newspaper article from like 1800.
Wow.
So it's been really helpful for like reporting purposes for work, but I just like put in like toxic shock and like see what came up. 1980, an article about TSS, the rise of TSS. Procter & Gamble recently removed Rely brand tampons from the market when a disproportionately large number of TSS cases were found among users of that product. The company plans intensive advertising to advise women who have Rely tampons to not use them.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. You can't rely on Rely.
Yeah, I just thought of our video like, Rely. It's Rely because it's good
Forget
and fine.
it's Rely.
And Rely.
A new tampon from Procter & Gamble. It's really different and better. Rely is a major improvement in tampons. So it's a major improvement in feminine protection.
I want to see a commercial with that woman like, I was wrong. You can't rely on Rely.
She's like shaking and she has a rash.
Oh, dear God.
It's really a better tampon. Remember, they named it Rely.
Again, before we get into taboos, I wanted to play a phone call we got from a caller, from a blistener, about her first time using a tampon.
Love it.
Hi, it's Elaine. So my story is my first tampon story, which I was 13, so it was about a year after I started my period, and I was at a pool party with the guy that I had a crush on, and I love swimming, but I hadn't used a tampon up to that point, but I'm like, I'm not going to use a pad in the pool, my cubic DNA. So I got a box of tampons and looking at the little cross section, it's really confusing. Like I didn't even understand what part of the body this cross section was that it's trying to give you. I was very unaware of certain parts of my anatomy, like where the cervix was exactly and where, I don't know. And I was like a little girl with a little vagina. 5 tampons later, I'm trying to put it in. It's not working. They're not like going all the way in. I'm totally frustrated. I'm missing power to the party. I'm wasting all these tampons. So I put a super basically halfway in. I get it halfway in, and it was more in than all the other attempts. So I'm like, I think this is good. And I go out in my cute little bikini and I jump in the pool and it expands immediately when it hits the water, the super tampon, and is excruciating. So it wasn't even put in right. And it expands to the point where it looks like I have like an inflamed, I don't know, like paint, like this huge super tampon just like kind of poking out of my bikini. And I immediately scream bloody murder because it's really painful. I don't know, like I was not, again, little vagina. So I jump out of the pool and my friend is like, what's wrong? And I was like, I was stung by I think I said stung by an ant. I don't know, that didn't even make sense. But I was just like, any excuse. And I'm like waddling off back to the bathroom. I can't even pull it out. It's expanded so much that it took like 10 minutes and I'm just like crying and it's really painful. It's just like slowly, like centimeter by centimeter, just like pulling the rest of this tampon out. It was awful. And I finally went back to the party and I was like, yeah, totally like stung by an ant. I don't know. Ouch. Watch it, guys. And then just didn't swim the rest of the time in the pool and just stayed staring out, wondering if I had broken something in my body.
Oh my god! It expand like I can't even understand this.
Has this ever happened to you guys? I don't think it's happened to me.
Expanding and then you can't get it out.
Maybe because it was like halfway in, so she couldn't like get the rest of it out.
God.
So I've luckily never had it not half in. Like I think I've always managed to get it all the way in. But I did have an experience with a super that I could not get out.
Oof.
Like I just kept tugging.
Oh, man.
And then I had to like give myself like some like relaxing like meditations and like deep breaths.
How old were you?
I was like 20, 21.
Okay.
Or,
No, you didn't start using it until you were 21. Nice try.
22. I was at at the time boyfriend's house. And it was obviously I didn't need a super that day.
Right.
And it was just in there.
Ugh.
And it probably took me like a good 10 minutes to just like deep breath and like bear down.
I've definitely had situations with like that often. Like where I don't know if it would take that long, but you definitely have to like relax.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just never should ever use a super. Like,
yeah. Well, especially if on birth control.
Yeah.
When you're on birth control.
Wait, I haven't told you guys this story.
Oh my God.
I think I also shouldn't have a super because I found out that my gynecologist was using a pediatric-sized speculum.
Oh.
Did I tell you guys that?
You told us that I think you did tell us this.
I don't know if
it may have been the episode you were drunk.
I did, and I think I meant to say this, but I think I told you other horrifying gyno stories. She used a pediatric-sized speculum, and she was having a hard time finding my cervix, and she's like, if we can't find it, I have to move up to the regular size. And I was like, fuck my life.
So you actually have a baby vagina.
I guess so. I have a baby's vagina. I mean, I know how to... Okay, Auntie Anna, cover your ears. I know how to take D. Like, I mean... I'm not saying, like... vaginas expand.
No, of course. That's crazy.
But I'm a small woman. I'm 5'2", so I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But
that's really funny.
I think that's
You have like the inverted thing, right?
I have an inverted pubic bone, so I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, I wonder
we
if
could
that's
do a
part of
whole episode right now.
Let's follow you to the gynecologist and
Yes.
interview the gynecologist.
We could all find out.
Also, I love that Elaine chose that she was stung by an ant.
Right.
Those ants that live in the swimming pool.
Yeah. That have stingers,
It just makes me want to create content for any woman of any age, like that is not a horribly drawn diagram.
Can we talk about that diagram,
Yes.
please? Because
let's actually look at it.
Here we go.
We can post it on our social media.
I just Googled Tampax diagram. God. And like, what are we looking at? Like, it looks like, so it's like a side section of like your butt. So all I'm seeing is a butt.
I am seeing a cross section of a papaya, of a bean.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Okay, but this is actually teaching me something right now.
Okay.
Because I'm seeing the vaginal canal.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the pee hole. And I always thought the pee hole was kind of in the vaginal canal.
Right.
Oh,
it's
no.
a head.
No, it's
a
not.
front.
Can I talk about something?
Yes, Meg. Oh, that's Meg Tro.
That needs to be a new segment.
Can I talk
talk about something?
Talk about something. This is the no judgment portion where we all say dumb shit that we've been taught.
Can I talk about something? Go ahead, Meg.
Okay, thank you. So I have seen multiple episodes of the Tyra Banks show, and I distinctly
No judging. That was just me telling myself not to judge you.
I'm not saying I liked it. So there was one episode that I think the title of the episode was "What's Up with Down There," and they never once said vagina, except for like one doctor they had on. It's like,
Only doctors can say vagina.
but I remember, I don't know why I remember this episode so clearly. Like she talks about Tyra. She talks about her like cramp remedy, and she's like, it's 5 steps. I have milk, I have Advil, I have something, I have a heating pad. But I always remember these 2 questions that someone asked. One woman asked the gyno on the panel, can your vagina ever come back from pregnancy or from birth? And then everyone was just like, nope, it's changed forever.
Oh my God.
Nothing you can do. And she's like, thank you very much.
No.
And then another woman was like, yeah, so I've had kids. And so it's like, I kind of pee all the time. Like if I have to pee, if I sneeze, if I cough, if I laugh, like it just pees a little bit. She's like, just put like a light day tampon in. And I've like always thought of that as like, oh,
Wait,
well,
Tyra said that or a doctor?
it was someone on that panel.
Okay.
It was like a woman specialist.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, so the pee hole must be kind of like in the vaginal canal.
Maybe a light day like pad. Not a tampon though.
I think she said
Like a
tampon.
panty liner.
Yeah.
Anywho, I have never forgotten that episode.
And it's messed you up.
And it's messed me up. I've been very confused. But then someone was like, I remember learning, it's like all these old wives' tales where you never like talk to a doctor, you read some stupid article, or it's like there was talk where like maybe the G-spot was connected to the pee hole because it's like sensitive. And I was like, so where is the pee hole?
All right, Meg, I'm gonna unbutton my pants.
All right, let me see.
Also, like with this diagram, it should be what your vagina looks like. It should be like the labia minora, the labia majora. It should be like
it should be
three-dimensional.
Yes, it should be a instead of a cross section of like your butt, like your side thigh. It should be up of your vagina. They should be like here, like it should be a camera pointed up at your vagina.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's where it goes.
Yeah.
Also, like as a kid, it's hard to like get a hand mirror. Like you also have to remember that sometimes we're just doing it based on feeling.
Yeah.
Like just think about the 3-dimensional like parts of us.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Yeah.
So Elaine was talking about using that diagram to help her. Now kids these days use YouTube videos, which we will get to later.
Oh, I'm excited.
So we talked about wanting to do something on the taboo of tampons. Obviously, there are taboos for millennia in every culture, in every religion about tampons. And what I found in just doing some basic research is that basically every religion going back to the beginning of time has some sort of belief that women who menstruate are in that moment impure. We can do a whole episode eventually about religions and what the religious thought is. But today we're going to talk about tampons and that taboo. And obviously the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, there's no actual discussion of a tampon in any of these things. But basically what I think what these sort of like these taboos come down to is virginity and whether or not a tampon going into a young person's vagina is taking their virginity or not.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. And yes, we'll get to that. So basically the only thing I could actually find about when tampons were actually released. So in 1944, the are archbishops of a country? Or cities?
No.
Anyway,
I mean, they're
Cities.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the Archbishop of Dublin in 1944 expressed to the Secretary of the Department of Health his disapproval concerning the use of tampons, particularly by, quote, unmarried persons. Obviously, like I said, there's nothing in religious texts about tampons, but there is the sense of, like, tampons taking your virginity.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, popping your hymen, which, by the way, as we all know, hymens are no marker of one's virginity.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you can lose your hymen from some people aren't even born with hymens. Some people lose them while doing a cartwheel or like riding a horse or a bike.
Right.
So they're definitely not a reliable indicator of virginity. But I think for a lot of religions and cultures, that is a thought that people have. I also did read some things like in the Quran, there is this belief that you shouldn't do anything that harms yourself. So a lot of people think, oh, because tampons are could give you TSS, you shouldn't put yourself in a position where you could harm yourself. So that's fair. So obviously everyone has different ways they practice religion. There's different levels of practice. There's different, people are more liberal or more conservative with their religious beliefs. So we're not trying to lump everyone in, obviously. And then some people believe these things, but then do it anyway. Right. So there's another thought too, that tampons are sort of akin to masturbating, and that even inserting a tampon could pleasure a woman or give her the sense that she's being pleasured. But can we just cut to yourself putting in a tampon. Put yourself, you're cramping, you're in your public restroom, you're unwrapping this tampon. How many people, raise your hand if you're pleasured by that motion.
Kate's hand is up.
Damn it, Meg.
We're going to demystify and debunk that statement.
No,
it is,
there's nothing pleasurable about putting a tampon in you.
I don't think I've ever not even minded. Every time I'm just all right, here it goes.
Yeah.
And I've done it hundreds of times now, and I'm still just all right.
Yeah.
So it is definitely not pleasurable, in my opinion.
No, not a bit. So I don't know, were you guys at all? I know Meg Tro, you were sort of just your mom was pro pads all the way.
Yeah.
But was there a sense that don't use tampons because they're only for people that have had sex?
See, I had that. I don't remember specifically if my mom kind of gave me that impression, or I think I remember my mom saying something just wait until you have sex, or just wait until something else goes on down there. Which, is I don't think my mom was discouraging anything, but it's also kind of because you're not gonna explore, wait till someone else does it for you, So I think for her, it wasn't a religious thing. It was just look, no one knows what's going on down there. When you figure it out with someone else, then you can probably easily use tampons.
Interesting.
And so, that was always kind of...
Meg, what about you?
So I've been texting.
You grew up Catholic.
Yeah, I grew up Catholic. Went to Catholic school for almost 20 years. I've been texting with my sisters because I also don't remember my mom explicitly saying no tampons. I think she offered me pads. And I also just can't imagine at age 13 using tampons. But actually my sister said that, my sister Katie said that my mom was actually suggesting that she tried tampons because we all played a lot of sports. And both of my sisters said that most of their teammates wore tampons because they played volleyball and soccer, and they were two of the only ones that wore pads.
So it's a practical thing.
Yeah. So
That's
I don't
great.
know. I guess my mom was different with my younger sister. She had already been through it with me.
Yeah.
So I also did a cursory Google research, the Catholic Church and tampons, and I found this website called Catholic Answers, Yahoo Answers, and a woman asked should I or shouldn't I, as a Catholic woman, use tampons? And it was interesting because the response was either this isn't a moral issue, which I found a little dismissive, but also kind of positive because it's we don't give a shit. Or women saying what they did. Yeah. And the only thing I saw that kind of connected to scripture was we're not, we're supposed to take care of our earth. And I think the woman also said I also know how bad tampons are for the environment.
Right.
And someone said well, according to scripture, we're supposed to treat our earth well. So maybe try
then what?
Reusable pads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it was kind of interesting. I was
cups.
wow, I'm glad to see people are in a semi-modern age that are practicing Catholics.
Yeah. Obviously, I think with any religion, you probably have the doctrine, which is probably if we're gonna go verbatim of the Bible or the Quran or whatever, it's gonna be don't do it. But it's also don't leave your house if you're bleeding either.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
So obviously, people interpret their, religious codes different ways. And it's not just religious either, because I was reading that in an LA Times article recently that in China, there's like a huge taboo around tampons. And Chinese manufacturers produced $85 billion worth of sanitary napkins last year, but not a single one of them made tampons.
Wow.
Because according to this article, Chinese women know little about their bodies and virginity is placed at a premium. There's even clinics for hymen repair. Wow. When they do eventually like marry someone and have to like prove their virginity, they can show that they have a hymen, which is just all kinds of crazy. And China's media regulator has banned advertisements of feminine hygiene products on TV at lunchtime and during prime time, reasoning that such commercials are disgusting. Quote, disgusting.
Oh my God.
But this article was also about like the changing times and how a lot of women in China are now A, losing their virginity sooner, and B, going online to buy tampons to be shipped from Western countries. So we know from previous episodes that Americans tend to use tampons more than almost every other country. But obviously within our own country, there are people that choose not to. But I read this really interesting article or an interesting book from a woman named Hannah Blank. She's like a feminist writer. She wrote a book called Virgin: The Untouched History. This is what she writes, that, based on tampon usage throughout the decades, just how far we've come. So this is what she's written. It's difficult to appreciate from our current vantage point just what radical departure this was from the 19th century view. As in the controversy over the use of the speculum, Victorian doctors and patients alike lived in fear of even the most stringently medical contact with the vulva, let alone vaginal penetration. This permeated the 19th century's attitudes towards women and their genitals to the point that Victorian girls and women were ideally not permitted to straddle anything ever. Little girls were kept from riding on seesaws or hobby horses, and they were discouraged from running, jumping, or gymnastics. Ladies who rode horseback did so side saddle for the very same reason. In this paranoid context, even bicycling constituted a terrifying threat.
Oh my God.
As two-wheelers became more and more popular among middle-class young people around the end of the 19th century, the medical journals revealed a feverish, sometimes pornographically detailed concern that the pressure that the bicycle seat placed on the vulva and the perineum not only held the menace of creating arousing feelings hitherto unknown and realized by the young maiden, but might contribute to painful and debilitating disorders of the genitals as well.
Oh my God. I mean,
so this is something that permeated throughout all of society, that like women should not do anything that might break their hymen or arouse them.
Right.
I will say Kate and I are cyclists, and your vag does hurt after a long bike ride.
Yeah,
okay?
it gets like
Gets sore.
It gets sore. It gets almost like it falls asleep.
Yes, it goes
Yes.
numb.
But that happens to me just when I sit on the edge of a chair too long. Then I like lay back and I'm like, oh, hello.
But it's just interesting. So I think we have to remember like the historical context of tampons, and like the use that they are used, or at least talked about being used now, is like a huge departure from what it used to be. So it's interesting. A little history.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Yeah, I think everyone does their own thing, but I do think there is like, even Meg Tra, like you said, like you weren't really religious, but there is this sort of like, just don't.
Right, yeah.
It's just better if you don't.
It's kind of like your sex parts.
Yeah.
So like don't play with your sex parts until you're having sex.
Yeah. Because my mom, I don't think, I never felt like there was any taboo about a tampon. It was sort of like, when you're ready. I think there was a sort of like, you'll know when you're ready.
Yeah, I think.
Because I also was athletic too. So it's like, you're going to want this eventually.
Right. I think that was my mom too.
So we do have some phone calls that I wanted to play. We did call out to some listeners to tell us about why or why not they use tampons. So let's listen to those phone calls.
So I come from a South Asian family, Muslim family. When I was younger, I got my period when I was about 10 years old, 11 years old. And from the get-go, it was only pads. And it's always only been pads. And there were two reasons for this. So the small reason was, there was like this kind of taboo attached to the idea of a girl, sticking a phallic object up, her passageway, her feminine passageway. And then the other reason, which was primarily my mom's concern, was the toxic shock syndrome. And she's like, it's unhealthy for you to be sticking this inside of yourself. It's better to use pads, not as, not environmentally friendly either way, but, here's a pad, enjoy it for the rest of your life. And, it's funny because when I was in college, my first year of college, I was like, I'm away from home. I can do whatever I want.
So I got a tampon. I remember being like, all right, this is it. We're going to do this. And I tried sticking it inside, and I just couldn't get it in. And that was a problem for me for much of my life. I'll just leave it at that. But till this day, it's pads.
Interesting to me because I've also been reading a lot about just because like through my work I write for like a women's wellness site, and there have been a lot of articles about women experiencing like pain during any sort of penetration, including like inserting a tampon. And it's just like some women just have really tight pelvic floors.
Yeah.
And it's like something you might not realize about yourself if you are like one, not using tampons, and like, you know, not in like a sexual relationship. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's something that like can affect your health. And I don't know about you guys, but my kegels clench up anytime I think about toxic shock.
Oh, agreed.
When I'm putting in a tampon, I'm like, all right, toxic shock.
And now I'm like, oh, rayon.
Rayon. Yeah, I definitely have friends who, on certain days of their period, they just cannot even think about tampons because it's way too painful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Do what makes you not
Yes,
hurt.
absolutely.
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if pads are working for you, then go for
Yeah,
it.
seriously.
Rock them.
All right, next phone call.
Hi, this is Nadia. My experience with tampons is very limited. My mom kind of laid down the law that we would be using pads. My sisters were using pads. They're 8 and 9 years older. So I there was never like an explanation for it though. I didn't really find out until maybe like later in middle school that it like goes up your vagina, and I think that was the reason why. Or the myth that it breaks your hymen or whatever. But I just learned how to use pads 100%. In 6th grade, my teacher, Miss Crawford, tried to teach us how to use tampons, and I just kind of zoned out because I was like, it's fine, I'm never going to use this because my mom said I could never use it. It's definitely a cultural thing. Like all my cousins use pads and things. When I started to have more diverse friends is when I started to see people actually using tampons. And eventually when I, would run out of pads, I'd say like, oh my God, does anyone have a pad? And they'd be like, ew, no, but here's a tampon. So I had to kind of use them by force and by necessity. I didn't like them. I don't know. I just feel very uncomfortable. And I also know someone who got sepsis and had to go to the hospital. So I'm just actually super freaked out by tampons. So I think just like the cultural bias and my fear is why I don't. But I didn't up until pretty recently actually start offering people pads when they needed something for when they got their period because I was embarrassed because everyone else used tampons. I don't know, maybe I gave myself a stigma, but I'm glad I'm getting more comfortable using them now.
Wow.
That resonates so much for me because I didn't start using tampons until like after I was 21. So like all throughout college, I'd like get my period and people like, do you need a tampon? And I'm like, I don't use those.
Yeah.
And like there is like once you
Yeah.
hit a certain age, there is kind of a shame of like,
Yeah.
I'm not a cool girl who uses tampons.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, and this is the last one, and this is a tale.
Oh boy.
Hello, Vicious Cycle. This is Dana, a coworker of the fabulous Kate. So I'm going to tell you about the first time I ever used a tampon. This is at the oh so young and naive age of 27. 27. It took me that long. So to set the scene for you, I was on vacation with my husband. A couple months into our marriage, we were in Cancun staying at the Ritz-Carlton. It was off-season, insanely blue waters, and my period decided to ruin all the fun that trip. So I'd never worn a tampon prior to the day because my Middle Eastern mom and relatives said, tampons were bad and taboo. So basically, I wore a diaper through the entire duration of my period up to this point, and it sucked. It really sucked. So I was really determined to go swimming, bought some tampons, and I FaceTimed my mom. And, the one time she didn't answer. So naturally I went on to YouTube, trying to figure out how this works. They can't really show you how it's done, but I thought the illustrations were helpful enough, at least at the time. I took several wasted tampons and lots of sweat, and my husband so sweetly and cautiously asking me if he could help in any way from behind the closed door. So after that, I went into the ocean, but not before cursing out the entire culture that had done this to me. I went in, the waves were hitting me hard, and I felt like this surge of pain, but I started thinking, that's probably normal. Sat down, I felt even more pain. This time it felt like I was being stabbed in the uterus. And then I looked down at the white towel, and there was blood. So I rushed to a nearby pool bathroom and tried to figure it out. And then my mom called me, and, everything fell into place. So she calls me, and she's actually laughing at me. And I think that pissed me off pretty much. But she explained the whole process. And the whole time I'm, pacing in the sand, pissed off. So I guess you're supposed to insert the plastic part and push it upwards so the whole cotton part goes in, and you just leave the string behind. And that's definitely not what I did. But now I know better. And that's the story of my first time using a tampon. And if I do ever have a daughter, I want her to be well prepared.
Oh, Dana, thank you for that phone call.
Wait, did she insert the string part?
I don't think she took out the applicator.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. God.
And wait, hold on.
That is such a common error.
So this is
so common.
This is the phone call that actually made me want to do this episode, because Dana called this in, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole thing we can do about the taboo of tampons.
Right.
But now, upon further listen, her mom knew how to use a tampon.
Know.
Come on, Mom.
Right. Withholding.
Yeah. So it's so at some point her mom used them, but then maybe after she was married and had kids, but it's so if you know, tell your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, Dana's words, not mine.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if sometimes moms just assume we figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And we're like, no,
Right.
we didn't.
We need you.
We needed you.
I think moms figured it out for themselves,
Yeah.
because they think their moms weren't talking about
Or
it.
oh, you're a certain age, you've probably figured it out by now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Dana, I hope that you've gone on and used tampons openly and while vacationing at the Ritz.
Right. Hello.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Wow.
So after hearing Dana's phone call, made me want to do this whole episode. But then also I was like, wait, excuse me, YouTube videos?
Yeah.
About tampons?
Oh God, I'm so excited.
There is, guys, had we been coming of age now, we would have not had to use the Tampax diagram.
Yeah.
We could
Which
have had,
none of us used because we established that we started using tampons after someone stuck their fingers inside of us.
Right.
That is
But
correct.
we could have had so much at our fingertips telling us how to do this. There is if you put in YouTube how to use a tampon, there are so many.
Yay.
So many videos.
That's great.
Which is great. Some better than others.
Okay.
Okay, this one is a channel called Learns Everything. And I mean, I'll let me just play it for you. It's very weird.
Hi, in this video we will explain how to use a tampon. If you are
No,
a virgin, many young girls wonder how to use a tampon. If you are a virgin, tampons are products that are used to absorb menstrual blood flow before the blood exits the body.
Oh my God.
It is normal that the first time you use a tampon you will be a little nervous, especially if you are a virgin. First of all, you should know that any girl can use a tampon, including virgin girls. The tampon may stretch the hymen a bit, but you won't lose your virginity with a tampon.
Okay. So
Okay.
Couple things.
Tampons.
Virgin. Okay, so just to paint the picture, it's an avatar talking clearly through voice to text.
Yes.
Or text to voice software.
So as to mask the voice of the hero that put this together.
So I mean, it's almost 300,000 views.
Wow. That's good.
But tampon.
Dear God.
Virgin.
Wait, does it actually show you
Let's keep watching.
Yeah.
I mean, just before we start or continue, I mean, it is. I don't know how often we're going to see this, but just the fact that having an intact hymen means you're a virgin. We really have to just start being that has nothing to do with your virginity.
Just forget the hymen exists.
think about queer sex.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a whole other thing with the virginity. What is virginity? It's
Right,
not
yeah.
just P and V.
Right,
Or is it? I
absolutely.
mean, just forget this notion of a hymen
Right,
that
yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Agreed.
Wash your hands and find a comfortable position, sitting on the toilet, knees open, tilted slightly with your knees bent and separated, or standing and placing one foot on the toilet. Those are good positions.
Also, the avatar is wearing like a colonial outfit.
Yes. Yes. Before we continue, which stance do you guys use?
Okay, so the 3 stances are leg on a stool.
Yeah.
Sitting on the toilet.
You know, your toilet stool.
Sitting on a toilet or slightly bent over standing up.
I would say numbers 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'm always on the toilet.
Yeah. I think when I first started, it would be like leg up, relax, take a breath, and now it's just like squip, squap.
Yeah.
But then I did find a YouTuber called Marissa Rachel, and this has over 4 million views. So I feel like people have gotten some help from this video.
Hey guys, it's Marissa, and today's video is going to be how to put on a tampon. And this video has been super requested. I've been getting so many messages from you guys just asking again and again for this, so I decided to do it. So I'm going to be using my good friend Susie Sunshine to help me demonstrate how to put on a tampon. And
that is a Care Bear.
She's using a Care Bear. Wait for it.
Oh boy.
And if you guys saw how to put on a pad, she made a little cameo in that. She did a very great job. So we're going to be showing you how to put this on. So you want to hold your tampon with 2 fingers and slowly push it into your vagina.
Wow.
Incredible.
She cut a hole in the Care Bear's vagina.
That Care Bear has a vagina.
Once the top half of the tampon, the thicker part, is fully in your vagina, you want to push on the lower end, kind of like you would a syringe, until your tampon is in, and then you want to slowly pull it out.
Love
the Care Bear's legs, there's a string dangling out of
Hanging
a yellow
out.
Care Bear's legs.
Oh,
I mean, this is so much.
Incredible, you guys.
Because I feel like you can't show a vagina on YouTube. It'll be
right.
taken out. So just show a Care Bear's in between the Care Bear's legs.
yeah.
Hashtag Shiro.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of
This
amazing.
is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Because this is like exactly what people
It's
should
exactly
see to
what
know
you need.
not to keep the applicator in.
Yes.
Exactly.
Amazing.
A slow clap.
Slow clap for Marissa,
For Marissa Rachel.
Yeah.
It
This
feels
is
graphic.
seriously amazing, though. It is very graphic, but it has to be graphic
yes.
in order to fully understand.
Yeah.
And it's a yellow Care Bear.
Well, this is so wonderful.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
So I mean, we could probably look through hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos, and we don't have the time, but I'm sure there's good ones. I'm sure there's bad ones. I'm sure there's more where they say tampon.
Tampon.
But I just love that. I mean, this woman, Marissa Rachel, she has 1.6 million subscribers. I'm sure they all trust her.
Yeah.
And she's made a video that's resonated with at least 4 million people.
Yeah.
So good for her. And
So great.
so thanks, Dana, for letting us know that there's a world of putting in a tampon
Yes.
YouTube videos. I mean, look at some of these other ones are 9.7 million views. How to put in a tampon. Swimming on your period, 2.5 million views.
Great.
Common tampon mistakes, 500,000 views. So if you guys have seen, if any of our listeners have seen any cool YouTube videos about that, let us know.
I want to watch more. I like that, you know, in the end, I think we've learned a lot about, because I love that we have a caller who is like, I still don't like tampons. I'm pads, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's true. Got to do what's most comfortable
Gotta do what
for
you gotta do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Two of the 3 callers were like, I'm pads. Pads.
Right.
Just this idea that like, you just use what you want to use.
Yeah.
But know that there are options.
Yes.
That makes me want to like carry pads more for friends.
Aw, for their time of bleed.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that wraps it up for this episode about tampon taboos. Thank you to all our callers for those really insightful phone calls. Thanks for listening today. I think pretty excited about our new segment. Can I talk about something?
Can I talk about something?
Probably going to bring that back.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and tune in next week where we will be talking about period smells. Yep.
Yay!
Yeah, I know, me too. My face feels like it's turning red right now just talking about it.
Everybody, start paying attention to the way your periods smell.
Yeah. Check it out. It's real. And until then, keep calm and tampon.
It may be primal, it may be vital, but it makes you homicidal. It's a vicious, it's a vicious, it's a vicious cycle.
Our theme song was performed by The Go Ahead. Check out more at thegoaheadmusic.com.